Hello people, I'm Jaby Koay, joined by Achara KIRK.
Hi.
And we're going to do our commentary / discussion on STALKER. This has been the most popular short film on the channel, surprisingly, so far. And there was a lot of interesting comments, interesting reactions, interesting questions, and I thought I would try to kind of just generally, in a very broad way, answer any questions you guys might have just by talking about the film. So I'm gonna play it and you'll hear our voices over the video playing. There we go. So this logo right here is my dad. This was conceived by myself and Ricky Elliott together. I wanted to have a very Western feel because of that picture, and he chose the font that I liked a lot. Initially it was supposed to be Cine in lowercase and SVA in uppercase because that's my dad's initials. This was one of the last shots we got right after we did the drowning sequence of Frank. That was a interesting late night shot. Yeah. We were both exhausted. This was fun for me doing these daytime shots, these exteriors, because it was the first time I was really playing with the 5D Mark IV. It was a camera I specifically got for shooting short films, and those beach shots were beautiful. Achara's on camera right now.
Yeah. Very, very carefully panning.
Yeah, with the tripod. I went up and down those stairs so many times. There's actually nothing in the luggage, so that's all acting, baby. This shot, some people had complaints about or were confused as to why I looked directly in the camera. They're like, Jaby's such a bad actor. He looked directly at the camera. He can't avoid looking at the camera. The truth of the matter is that we tried versions of that shot where I wasn't looking directly at the camera, where I looked beneath it, to its left, or whatever. And what seemed to just communicate the feeling best of me just being annoyed that there's more stairs was me looking directly at the camera. It just felt like the perfect reverse of the POV shot of the stairs. POV stands for point of view. Initially, there was a line there that said, state-of-the-art security. We cut that out in favor of just putting dialogue from the scene over it. This scene was initially much longer, and what happened was, I'm gonna pause this for a second so I can talk about it without the pressure of rushing. The scene was a lot longer. There was more dialogue afterwards, and what you heard in terms of voiceover while I was opening the door up actually was just me on camera. And I had this idea at the last second to move it to being voiceover, to just truncate that space, because I just didn't like how this scene turned out. It came out a lot better when a lot of it was cut out. It was more acceptable for me. I still cringe a little bit when I watch it because I'm not super happy with it. Basically what happened was all the dialogue that's extensive in here is dubbed. It's dubbed by me and it's dubbed by Jennifer Sunbell. And what happened was we only had, like, if you can see me right now with this, if this is the camera and this is the microphone is either here or here. I couldn't get it, and let's say you're the subject, Frank or Jaby Koay, like I couldn't get the microphone very close to my mouth to get good audio. And so what you got was a lot of echo from the room because the walls are flat. And so that was excruciatingly frustrating because it just sounded horrible and I knew I had to dub it. When I dubbed it, it just didn't quite, like the quality overall was just not quite what I was hoping.
Yeah, dubbing's always a bit strange, yeah. I find.
This is the scene I'm least happy with overall, because any of you who are complaining about the scene, I agree with you. Like it made me frustrated. So let's continue. And I just come up looking like a big jerk. Well, that's what happens when you write something in 30 minutes. Like you just don't have much time, and you're trying your best to get this all done in 48 hours time. So this was one of my favorite bits because it was so simple, but to me it's extremely effective. You're just seeing this absolute frustration.
It's nicely framed as well. I like the two curtains there, and you're right in the middle of it.
Right, we aim for a very aesthetic thing.
Yeah.
Right now, Achara is up high. It might not seem like it, but she's up high on a step stool or a ladder or something.
Yeah.
Trying her best not to shake. Initially, that was Achara's face. We were texting back and forth, and then I had Ricky Elliott put Jennifer Sunbell's face there. Not everyone got this joke from watching the reactions. It's supposed to be that it's very emasculating, having pink goggles, and.
Yeah, and they're not just pink goggles, they belong to an 8-year-old child.
So that was a very difficult shot to get because I was trying my best to just keep it steady. Ricky Elliott did some stabilizing in post-production. If you look carefully, sometimes you see like some smudging artifacting going on. Not necessarily here, but the smudging artifact occurs because when it's a telephoto lens, when it's a long lens, you're zoomed in rather, and you're trying to hold the camera steady, shake is more noticeable, and when you warp stabilize, it has a smudgy effect. This 3D texting look was Ricky Elliott's idea. My idea was just to have the text show up at all. Like
flat.
like House of Cards, like flat. But he had this idea for making it 3D, and it cutting to daylight like that was also his idea. He stole that from, I believe, Lawrence of Arabia. I've never watched Lawrence of Arabia, so I'm not sure if that's the reference.
Shame on you. I haven't watched it.
Okay. One person reacting was like, "Why is Jaby so mad at it's like such a beautiful place?" And I think I failed to communicate that this was the next day. Like, he arrived after a long flight, and it's the next day, and he was really frustrated and just wanted to sleep in, and he couldn't. What exacerbated that was something I didn't effectively communicate because there was just no time to properly insert it. But the idea was that the ghost opened up all the windows. If you look at the shot just before, all the windows, all the doors, everything's shut. Yeah. And then in a daytime shot, everything's open. And like, I'd never properly communicated that why that happened, but people don't care. Initially, there was a lot more shots here between me waving, or Frank waving and knocking on the door.
Yeah.
But Ricky Elliott cut all that out because he just thought it was really effective seeing that bust of the head right on that door. He thought it was really scary looking. And I agreed with him. It was,
Yeah, it's a very interesting looking doorknob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
And so, we streamlined it quite a bit. There's no more shots. He took out the shots of me walking up the stairs and deciding whether or not to go up there at all.
Yeah, we get it.
So it's clear. These shots right here of touring the ghost's house was some of the last stuff we were getting. We literally had like maybe 20 minutes to get all of this stuff.
Like run.
We had no time because we were leaving on a flight like within a couple of hours of this, I think. And so it was like, I'm trying my best here to just be cool, be chill, as I explore this property, while knowing in the back of my head, we've got to get the F out of this place, like now.
Yeah, it was literally like we finished the shot and it was like, okay, pack up the cameras, let's go, bring the bags.
Yeah, this was excruciatingly stressful. There was initially another shot here that Ricky and I, he decided first and then I agreed with him to take out. It was a selfie shot where you could see Achara in the stairwell behind me, because this is the first time, and the pool here is the first time you see the ghost, but I initially had the first time being, you see her in the stairwell behind that window behind me, and that's why I look back, but because we took that shot out, you don't actually know why I look back, because I sensed something behind me, and then it happened again in the pool, but in the final cut, it just happens in the pool, which is fine, because it seemed to be more effective that way anyway.
And then the look that I have in the pool was all Ricky Elliott.
Oh yeah, the makeup. Really that wasn't makeup. That was all visual effects. None of that was real. Ricky Elliott's idea here also to make this an article, and initially it was just supposed to be a photo. Because what I wanted to happen was you see a mirroring effect of Lily's flashback of seeing the woman in the pool, and then you see that shot again at the end with me in the pool, or Frank in the pool. I keep saying me, but you see Frank in the pool in that same exact angle, that same exact shot. And I wanted that kind of mirror effect, almost like poetry. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, it just wasn't gelling where that flashback was coming from. It's like the flashback's coming from the phone. It was just weird. And so I decided to just follow his lead on that one and make it a news article. And he designed that whole thing.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was brilliant. These shots right here were very, very simple because we shot this scene right before we did the bull scene at 1 a.m. Like, literally, these shots are being done at 1 a.m. And I'm very tired. I'm exhausted. I just want to go to bed, and we still have to get the pool shots. That's what's in my mind as we're doing this stuff. Interesting thing here is, one person was commenting about my acting here, saying I was super chill. And I think that acting styles are very different between Indian cinema and American cinema, because there, it's like, I like, if anything, I could have done even less instead of doing more. Instead of getting more excited, I would have preferred to have done even less with it.
Yeah, because you don't believe her.
Exactly.
You just think she's being silly. You're not the type of guy who buys into ghosts and stuff. So you're like,
right.
You're just being dumb.
And mysticism. Like, I'm a super, super logical person. And very
like Jaby in real life.
Yeah, like it was I'm very scientifically minded. It's like there's no such thing as ghosts. I didn't actually see the ghost. The audience saw the ghost.
Yeah.
And she's telling me, that this ghost exists. I'm in denial of it, but there is a part of me that's like, maybe she's right.
It's kind of creepy.
And hopefully that was communicated in the last shot before it goes black. There's some small voiceover stuff that I made Ricky Elliott add in. Like when I walk up to the window, I say, God damn it. Like I really wanted that, and even though most people don't notice it. And I did a whole bunch of different versions of that, like fucking, oh God. This long shot was my idea. I was like, I want this to be really long because you're wondering when something's gonna pop out.
Yeah.
And
out of the toilet. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Oh, so Ricky Elliott's idea was to have it flicker like that. So he injected a lot of cool ideas. Initially, when he edited this black right here was very short, and I was like, no, that needs to be long. We have to make that long because that's very effective because all you hear is the noise of me slipping, hurting myself, and whatnot, and that's gonna, make the audience uncomfortable.
Oh my God, this scene was just the worst.
So all that
to shoot.
The makeup right there is not real makeup. That's all Ricky Elliott's doing.
Yeah.
He did that all in post. So what Achara was saying right now is we spent many hours trying to we wanted to get it in one shot.
Yeah.
We wanted to get it all in one take, and we just couldn't. At the end of the day, we just couldn't get it in one take. I wanted it to be, you see her drop me into the pool, you see me try to get out, she pulls me back in, I try to get out again, she pulls me back in again. It was all supposed to be one take, and I frustratingly couldn't get it all in one take, so I was like, all right, let me just shoot some other angles to fix this. And it ended up being that most of what Ricky used was the other angles, which is like so hilarious to me because those were done inside of, a couple of minutes, whereas the main shot we were trying to get, we spent hours on.
Oh my gosh, and like we argued over it as well. What you wanted me to do was you wanted me to grab you, pull you down, and then swim, hugging the bottom of the pool. And, my feet kept floating up. Yeah. And you just kept getting so annoyed. And I'm like, I can't execute this thing that you want me to do. And it took such a long time. And poor you were like battering yourself against the side of the pool, acting your heart out.
I got beat up.
Yeah.
It was messy. I had like a bruise on my shoulder, a bruise on my knee, a bruise on my hip. Like I got bruised up. And afterwards there were some people who are super or cinephiles of horror films. For the final scene, they were like, oh, that final part was kind of underwhelming. I was like, I wanted it to be longer and whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I did too. I wanted it to be longer also. But the thing is, it was just two of us. We could only get, like, one person was like, you should have had an angle looking down at the pool. I'm like, how? It's just two of us there. That's an impossibility. That's an impossibility. There was no way this was going to happen.
And not only that, it was extremely risky what we were doing with the camera and the lens because of all the splashing and stuff. We had to be very aware of not getting the camera wet and ruining the equipment.
Bear in mind, again, we shot this all, we wrote and shot it in 48 hours. After the fact, I was like, oh, I could have gotten this angle and I could have gotten this angle here to draw out the drama of it. I could have gotten creative here and had me crawling. I only thought of these things after the fact because it's like we were trying to get this done in less than 2 days.
Yeah, we were just basically running on adrenaline.
You can see the shot right here of me walking up, like, so this sound right here of the door was something I stressed with Ricky Elliott. I wanted it to be a very loud sound. That was, for me, something inspired by the movie The Ring, the American version, because I just remember this scene where they cut to a dude who's doing some research and you hear this bang of the cabinets moving around. But I remember the audience getting scared just because of that sound. And so I wanted something kind of as effective here where the door opens up and it just kind of shocks you because it was really quiet just before that moment. This shot was actually very, very difficult to nail, and Achara did a great job because the lens was wide open, I think at 1.4. If you guys don't know what that means it's a very, very, very shallow depth of field. And it's very difficult because you have to stay locked with the subject as much as possible to avoid losing focus. Some of the shadowing disguises the losing focus a bit, but overall she did a really good job. I mean, looking at it now, we may have opened it up even more, but it was still really difficult to nail. I mean, and the bust here of the Asian lady on the bar, that was creepy looking. And some people got scared of that. I saw some reactions. That was pretty cool.
I actually got scared even when we were shooting this film because, to be honest, my sister's property is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
And she's even said, people have seen and heard weird things there.
Yeah.
And when she watched this short, she was like, oh man, we're all scared to go out by the pool at night now. No more late night bottles of wine.
Yeah.
No more late night trips to the toilet out there. Nope.
Yeah.
Everyone's afraid of the toilet
I was
now.
afraid of swimming in the pool at night anyway because bats were always flying by.
Oh yeah, there were lots of bats. I like them though; they're cute.
But so this right here, some people thought that I made a mistake with the music or that Ricky made a mistake with the music. So just so you know, the idea was this. Initially, I had this thing we were gonna put in, but we couldn't quite make it work, where you heard that theme song playing when the ghost drowned herself. Because that's the song that was playing the evening she killed herself. It was playing like at a party or something like that, and she drowned herself. And so that's her theme song. So every time that song plays, the ghost is present. That's the idea, with the exception of the ending. Every time you hear that song, it's an indication that she's present, and that's why you hear it. And so it's coming from her house. That's why when it transitions from here to the door, and it gets really loud for a second, because Frank is right outside of her villa. When he knocks, the door opens on its own, and the music stops. It wasn't an accident. That was all on purpose, for those of you who were confused about that. I think I answered like most of the questions that people had about this. I addressed the ending. I would have liked the ending to be a little bit longer, but it was what it was. Like, we didn't have that many shots to work with. I do kind of like how abrupt it is. I'm of two minds about it, because there's like the version where it could have been longer and more exciting, but then there's the other version where it's like, it just kind of catches you off guard because it's so abrupt. It's like you don't expect it, right? In one respect, it can be seen as anticlimactic, but in another respect, it feels more real because it's so abrupt. The other thing is this very last shot when I'm in the pool, or when Frank's in the pool. We basically finished everything on this thing. Ricky Elliott and I went back and forth so many times on you know, finessing this as much as possible. I initially wanted something like Fight Club. Like, after it was all said and done, and we were just about to put it out, I'm like, oh wait, what if we do this thing like Fight Club where we splash in 2 frames of Lily, I keep saying Lily, the ghost, in place of me? I liked it, but he's like, well, how about this? How about I put her over here and she's in the pool next to you? And I was like, that's even better. I like that. And so that's how we ended up arriving on this shot.
Yeah, because I wasn't actually there.
One of my favorite reactions to this, it was the dude who was like, oh, they're like synchronized swimmers. I was like, that's brilliant. Anyway, I appreciate everybody's reaction to this. I appreciate the reception. So far, it's still holding a strong 96% in terms of upvotes. It's actually 96% plus. Like, it's 96.5 or something like that. Or I forget what exactly it is, but I feel like I'm about to sneeze. So... don't
Look
sneeze.
at the light! Look at the light!
Why does that do anything?
It's supposed to help you not sneeze.
I feel like I'm gonna sneeze.
God bless you.
That light did nothing.
Oh, okay.
That's some weird placebo crap.
Complete BS then.
Yeah. There's one reactor I saw who was like picking apart the short film and analyzing it with like a cutting, like every little thing and all the, you know, cliches and whatnot. I watched that and I'm like, dude, you completely missed the point. This is just supposed to be a fun thing. It's not great. Like, I acknowledge that this isn't great. It's all right. Like, to me, it's good for what we had to work with. This was effective enough in the way that I wanted it to be, and it was good. Like, it's not fantastic, it's not Oscar worthy, but I definitely enjoyed it. I like what I was able to pull off inside of 2 days. Not everyone can say that they were able to pull off this quality of work from a 2-day shoot.
And definitely having Ricky Elliott help us work on it and offer his ideas and his expertise on this has made this short so much better.
Right. So fun fact, I showed this footage to Ricky Elliott and I was like, look, man, I don't know if this is good or bad, honestly. So I'm trusting you right now. I want you to look at it and tell me if this is worth doing. And if you don't think it's worth doing, we'll just scrap it. And it was just an experimental shoot. We'll just scrap it. And so he was like, yeah, I'm thinking we should scrap it. And he's like, well, let me play with it. Because he went back and forth for like 2 or 3 days with the footage.
Really?
And he assembled it and he's like, okay, I think I can make this work. I was like, okay, cool. I got excited. We got excited. We went back and forth and he did edits and he started adding in these things. And I was like, yes. Initially, he did the soundtrack using Dunkirk and Inception music. And I thought it was his. And I was like, okay, I like the Dunkirk-ish music and I like the Inception-ish music, but I want to dial it in and out here. He's like, actually, that is Dunkirk and Inception. I was like, oh, whoops. But that was an inspirational point. And he did a whole cool like music thing. Some of you were asking about the theme song If That Ain't Love. That's actually a song I got from the, we have a music publishing thing that we pay for royalty-free music. That's where that song came from. I like that old jazzy feel. It had a very old school feel, and it very much contrasts the tone, the horror tone.
Yeah.
Or the thriller tone, and that's what I liked so much about it. Because to me, this is kind of just a fun thing. And initially with Ricky's initial track, it was just so serious. And I was like, okay, this is so serious. Like, can I have like a super lo-fi marvel in me, I think. Because I want to undercut the seriousness with a joke of some kind. And so initially, that song was just for the credits. I'm like, what do you think of this, Ricky? And he's like, that's cool, but the song never shows up anywhere. It's just weird because it contrasts everything else. And so then we went back and forth about where to put that song in, and eventually we decided that was the Ghosts theme song. And to me, that was really effective because it has like this weird, creepy effect to it. Anyway, I think we've said enough.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I was really happy with how this short film turned out. And like Ricky in the beginning, I was like, I'm really not sure if this is even worth showing anyone, but I'm so glad that, we all managed to collaborate and make something good out of it. So, and I'm really glad that you guys enjoyed it too.
This is a fun little thing, but initially, Ricky's cut of this, I don't know if he meant to keep this as just a joke, but initially when it went dark, all you heard was like something drop in the toilet and me going, oh, and I'm like, what is, it sounds like my foot got stuck in the toilet, Ricky. He's like, yeah. I'm like, no, I slip, I hit my ribs on the floor, and it's painful, and it's dark for a long time before I'm able to open the door. Like, Frank has to struggle in his bathroom. That's what I want.
What was it, like a bloop?
Yeah, it sounded like shit fell in the toilet. That's what it sort of sounded like. I think he literally used like a poop drop into the toilet sound. For all the reasons I explained, is why I made Ricky a producer on this as well, because he brings so much to everything I collaborate with him on that I feel compelled to give him a producer credit as well, because he brings much more than just someone who does visual effects or editing.
Yeah.
Like, he brings so many ideas that I love, and I'm like, I love it. I love it so much. He's
Yeah, he really is an integral part of our creative team.
I wanted to say special thanks again to Melanie and Keith Temperton. That's Achara's family, because they let us use the place to like do whatever you want, have fun with it. We shot all over in your niece's room.
Yeah, we shot reactions in my niece's room, and we just had free reign of the whole property pretty much.
You guys, thanks so much for enjoying the film. The 96% plus of you who enjoyed it and upvoted it. Hopefully you enjoyed this commentary on the video. And some of you guys were asking about a sequel to Stalker. I was not planning on that. This was
like a one-off.
This is supposed to be a one-off thing. I really don't intend to make a sequel to Stalker. If our Patreon support goes through the roof, like out of nowhere, then and Stalker still has some relevance, then I will totally have Jennifer Sunbell fly with us to Thailand so we can shoot a sequel there where, the ghost is stalking Jennifer Sunbell. Oh, Stalker. Okay. That's the last thing I'm going to mention before I close this out. The title. Some people were confused as to why it was called Stalker. One of the things that I stressed with Ricky was I wanted the thumbnail to mislead people, because it looks like I'm the stalker, right? I have this kind of menacing look, and there's that happy picture of Achara or of the ghost. So I like to create a separation. There's that picture of Frank looking down with that menacing look, and then the ghost in the Polaroid photo. And so you think Frank is the stalker until you watch it. You're like, oh, that's not what it is at all. Because initially you think stalker, you think a guy's the stalker.
Yeah, that's the normal assumption. But you don't assume that women stalk men.
Right, which is totally a real thing.
Yeah.
Happens to me all the time. No, I'm just joking. So what happens is the ghost, in case it wasn't clear to some of you, the ghost was a woman who stalked Lily's uncle. The backstory is Lily was a little girl. The ghost stalked Lily's uncle, and Lily's uncle rejected her, and so she killed herself in that pool.
Which isn't really explained in the short at all.
It is.
Is it?
It is. Lily explains on the phone.
Oh.
Yeah,
very briefly.
It goes by like that, but the information is there. She's the stalker. She stalked Lily's uncle, and then she's stalking Frank. So that's why it's called Stalker. Some people are confused about that, but
yeah.
Anyway, that's everything, you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you enjoyed the next short film that comes out. Thank you so much for all your support, Patreon support, just being part of the channel, supporting, not using ad blockers. All that stuff helps. It helped to get this short film made. Thank you so much. I'm Jaby Koay. This is
Achara KIRK.
Peace out.